Sources in Egypt say construction work to create spaces to accommodate Palestinian refugees has begun on the border with Gaza. They say the area is being prepared in case of an Israeli offensive in the city of Rafah as part of its campaign against Hamas, who launched the October 7 terror attacks. Such a move could cause an exodus of Palestinians across the Egyptian border. Video released by Egyptian NGO, the Sinai Foundation for Human Rights, shows work verified by the Reuters news agency as being along the Gazan border. Egypt has repeatedly said an Israeli offensive in Rafah would be unacceptable. More than 1 million Palestinians are currently sheltering there. Well, our correspondent in Jerusalem, Rebecca Ritters, told me more about Egypt's plans in the area.
Well, just as you say there, Phil, we're getting reports, credible reports that are being verified to show that this is actually underway. This construction is underway. We're seeing satellite imagery that shows this, these eyewitness videos that have been confirmed, and also from speaking to contractors on the ground. You mentioned there the Sinai Foundation of Human Rights. They've been talking to 2 contractors on the ground who've confirmed that this is indeed the case, that this area is being built, and on the satellite imagery we can see it's from the Gaza border through quite an area to another highway inside the Sinai Peninsula, and that is being built for, as you say, the case where we might see a mass exodus of Palestinians. Now, Egypt have been saying that they don't want to accept a huge amount of Palestinians into their territory for fear that they won't be able to return. But this is, of course, an emergency measure should Palestinians either break through the border or should, for some reason, the border be opened.
And does it look like Israel will heed international criticisms and call off its offensive on Rafah?
It's really difficult to say. The IDF do not give us advance warning of their plans, but we have no reason to believe that they won't carry out what they say they have been going to do, and that is to continue their ground offensive into the Rafah city, into the Rafah region, where more than 1 million people are now sheltering from other parts of the Gaza Strip, and were told by the Israeli military to go down there to shelter in that area. So they've carried through with all of their other statements that they say that they were going to go into Khan Yunis, they were going to go into the south, they did so. So we have no reason to believe that they won't, in fact, go ahead with their ground offensive of Rafah as well. Of course, there have been huge international calls to ensure that the civilians that are sheltering there are able to leave. And Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has publicly stated that he's asked the Israeli military to come up with a plan to evacuate these people sheltering there, though we have NGOs, the UN and many other NGOs saying that there simply isn't room, there isn't space. Where will these people go? Many of them have been displaced multiple times already, and they're tired. We've spoken to some people on the ground there who say they simply would just rather die in Rafah than have to move again. They're tired and they're living in squalid conditions with little belongings left, and they've seen many of their family members die already. So there's a lot of frustration and fear from the civilians who are still sheltering there, but a concrete plan to evacuate them hasn't emerged yet.
OK, Rebecca, thanks for that. Rebecca Ritters in Jerusalem.
Journalist Karim El-Gawhary joins me now from Cairo with more. Karim, what do you know about Egypt's plans in the area?
Well, we first know that there are satellite pictures that shows an area about 12 square miles that is prepared for something like this. We have now the videos from this NGO from Sinai you were showing in your report, and we have security sources anonymously talking that this camp is in the making, that it's going to be surrounded by a wall, and that it will be housing something between 60, what is able to house between 60 to 100,000 people.
Accepting Palestinians forced out from Gaza was a red line for the Egyptian government. Has the government now changed its mind?
No, it's clearly a constituency plan. I mean, they don't want to be part of any official plan of any displacement of Palestinians from the Gaza Strip, of any forceful eviction of Palestinians from the Gaza Strip. So this is a camp that is just preparing for what might come, because, of course, on the Egyptian side, there is big fear that there will be some kind of mass exodus when this Israeli ground offensive in Rafah really start. Because, I mean, what the people will do, in front of them, they have the Israeli army. Behind them, they have the Egyptian wall of the border. So it's a big possibility that they might try to get out onto the Egyptian side. And they're just basically preparing for this. They're trying to put it into some kind of controlled area that's with the wall. And because the Egyptian army, also don't forget, they will be not able to go against these refugees or the people who come over, the Palestinians, by force. It's politically impossible even that they shoot at them or anything. So they try to set up something where they can control the situation.
And is Egypt certain that if it came to this, that these refugees in the Sinai, in the places that are being, in the area where all this construction work is happening, that these refugees would be there only temporarily?
Well, that is the big fear. I mean, the big fear is of Egypt that there will be, that they really don't want to be part of a displacement scenario. And of course, first, I mean, big parts of the Gaza Strip are completely destroyed. So where would the people go back to when the war is over? And the second thing is there's, of course, parts of the Benjamin Netanyahu government who is talking openly about the displacement of Palestinians from the Gaza Strip forever. So that is something, of course, Egypt has in mind and Egypt is very fearful of.
Are there concerns, Karim, that this could eventually affect bilateral relations between Israel and Egypt?
If it comes to that, absolutely. I mean, the Egyptians already said if their security concerns are not addressed through this Israeli offensive, they might even recall the ambassador. And there was even talk a few days ago that the Camp David peace agreement might be completely suspended, but that's something the Egyptian government denied by now.
We'll leave it there for the time being. Thanks for speaking to us. Journalist Karim El-Gawhary, reporting from the Egyptian capital, Cairo. Thanks so much.
You're welcome.